All right, so today we've got a plane and a project to work on that I procrastinated here for a little bit too long. I think I've got the right airframe for this project now, and yeah, I guess there's nothing to do but start putting it together. Let's get into the box, see what it is. All right. So here we are, we're ready to start this project. I don't know if you saw the packaging before, but it had that Motion RC Freewing on there. I opened up the box and first impressions on packaging we've talked about on almost every plane we've ever opened. And I'm wondering if I've got a Banana Hobbies plane here. This is some of the most sad, stark packaging I think I've seen. The funny thing is this is actually a premium plane, and well, let's go ahead and we'll get into this here, and hopefully it's better on the inside because like I says, yeah, this is a premium plane. Now there is some interesting story about this project. Come on now. You can do it. All right, there we go. Just hang out there for a minute. Wow, okay. So at least everything looks beautiful inside the packaging, right? So we always talk about how, you want to see a plane that's well packed. I'd say that's pretty well packed. That's not bad. And we've got a clamshell style for the second portion of it. All right, so let's get into the unboxing here, and I'll kind of explain why I've got this plane. So this is the first P-51 Mustang I've ever owned, and there's a reason for that. I've not wanted one because of my upbringing. Sometimes we work on these projects, and I'm gonna just be honest with all y'all. You stammer and you stutter through things that are kind of hard to get through. And if I do that a lot on this video, I'm sorry. But this is a confronting project for me. So I had a mentor growing up who, without his help, I wouldn't be on this planet, just period. I was a very angry child, I guess you could say. And he was a pilot. And he instilled in me the love of flight and of airplanes, especially World War II warbirds. He ended up passing away a few years back from cancer. And the last project I worked on him with was building a P-51 Mustang. I remember sitting inside the fuselage, bucking rivets, which if you've not done that, it's pretty miserable. Imagine being inside of a Bell with somebody hammering on the outside of it with a rivet gun. That's basically the idea. But this man was truly a mentor to me and helped me through some really rough parts of my life. So I haven't wanted to get a P-51 until I could do something to pay a tribute to him. And I think this plane's the one. So Freewing doesn't make crap. And I'm seeing that right now in the box. So let's go ahead and start unboxing. We'll continue with the story as we go. But wow, that is a fantastic wing. I am absolutely blown away. Boy, we've got these beautiful retracts with what looks like doors on it. Supposedly there's some pretty sophisticated electronics in this plane, lighting and door closing sequencers and things like that. The flaps are just gorgeous on this plane, and we've got some servos here at the end. Looks like this must have something to do with those door flaps. So let's see if we can just tear into this. We'll get it set out on the table. Oh, and the wing tips. Look at those lights. Beautiful lighting on it. The machine guns look actually really great. What a beautiful piece. All right. So Sheridan, you know, like I said, he was a role model to me. And he helped me through some bad times. I ended up being honestly a suicidal teen, and I actually attempted suicide 3 times. You know, that's a hard thing to say because A, the people judge you instantly, or B, you know, you're kind of left with this social stigma that we have. But, you know, life can be hard, and that doesn't change when you're an adolescent. It just becomes different as you become an adult. And he and his wife helped me through the darkest time of my entire life. So, you know, this guy, he was such a good guy, I tell you what. He, you know, first computer we ever owned, he ended up bringing over, what was it, Aces over Europe and Aces over the Pacific. Now that's going way back. I mean, that's 20 years plus. But you know, those were great games and really, you know, inspired me to love airplanes and love flight. Now that I'm kind of grown up, well, now I get to sit here and play with these models, and it's a lot of fun. So, you know, in his memory, I want to take and take this plane and do something with it that, you know, is going to be a bit of a project. And so I'm going to need some of your all's help out there. I haven't ever painted a plane before, and I know that a lot of the foams react with a lot of different paints. My goal is I want this plane to look just like his P-51. And so we've got the perfect plane mechanically, but we've got some changes to make. So if you have any good tips on painting planes and the right kind of paints to use, let me know. Throw it down in the comments because this is phase 1 of the project. Let's get it unboxed, let's get it built, let's make it real. Phase 2, gonna paint it up, make it look like his plane. And then phase 3 is the maiden, and that's the scariest part to me right there, because what if I crash, right? All right, diving into the packaging more. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful plane. Now, this plane has been set up to do those built-in audio kits. And personally, boy, crackly. Personally, I'm not a big fan of those. They don't do anything for me. I figured if I wanted the motor sound, I'd go and, you know, get an OS engine or something like that, and actually do it right. But wow, this plane is just sick. Beautiful pilot. Got some great gauges. The rivets on the exterior. Look at the retractable tail gear. This thing is just amazing. So let's talk about what this is. So this is the old Crow. Motion RC is where I bought it from. And so this plane is like, it's a monster. It is a premium plane. It's a $309 plane. And my gosh, it's not disappointing me here. Now, this thing has some serious power as well. In fact, there we go. There's our prop. That is just insane. 16 by 10. I mean, that is such an aggressive prop. I think it's a 450 kV motor, 80 amp ESC, if I recall, and it wants to run a 4-cell, somewhere in the neighborhood between 36 and a 4000. I've got 4000, so that's what I'm going to run with it. But holy cow, we're going to do our thrust check after we get her built, and that's terrifying. That might be the biggest prop we've ever tested so far. Yeah, beautiful plane. So it's got springs on the retracts. It's got, you know, so many little features. The marker lights, navigation lights. My gosh, so excited for this beautiful plane. Now, as I'm diving in here, so there's our tail. One beautiful piece. 2 screws is how this connects. That's it. No glue. And so the interesting thing too is we've got our ball joint clevises, and I really love those. They're really precise. They are very smooth acting. More importantly than anything, they're super reliable. So great to see that on here. Now here's the other question mark. We have got mechanical hinges. Absolutely we do. And they are beautiful hinges. Man, what a great plane. What a great plane so far. Okay, so we've got our bag of hardware. Looks like we've got some servo cables. And it looks like we've got a couple gadgets in there. Landing gear, cabin sequencer, LED controller. So there's our effects. That's kind of fun. Looks like we've got prop adapters. All right. Get in here, pull our tail out. Oh, just gorgeous. Again, beautiful mechanical hinges, super heavy duty. I love that the control surfaces are not joined. So we've got that realism there, and we've got two different push rods going to it. Ball joint clevises on there as well. And again, looks like super simple installation. So that's nice. Oh, we've got drop tanks. All right, would you look at those? I'm not gonna probably be putting this on this plane just because, well, his didn't have it. And that looks like the bulk of it. Oh man, what a beautiful plane, you guys. All right, well, I guess what I need to do is get into the time lapse here, get this thing built, and you know, I guess at that point we can kind of talk about the fate of his plane and what I've been able to find, and yeah, just start the project here of recreating his plane. Incidentally, his plane was, and not the old Crow, his plane was, he called it Little Darlin'. And so that's what we're gonna rename this to, if I can figure out how to get the decals and everything else and painted. So let's jump into the time lapse. And hopefully my rambling during this unbox didn't take away from the fun. We'll get to it. All right, so here we have it. I gotta be honest, this is one of the most beautiful planes I think I've ever seen. You know, and I've got my favorites for sure, but top 3? Probably, yeah. The build quality on this was exceptional. Again, a premium plane at a premium plane price, I would expect that, but I didn't find one thing on this plane I could complain about. Not one. I couldn't find problems with the foam. I couldn't find warps. I couldn't find anything about this plane that is in any way, shape, or form functionally or cosmetically, you know, deficient. Super impressed. I think this is going to be the perfect platform to build up Sheridan's tribute plane here. So I'm actually a little nervous. We're going to do a thrust check here, and let's see what kind of power this thing has. I've got a Gens Ace 4-cell 4000 in this, if I recall. I did install a little orange receiver. I'm not going to use that when I made in this. Just doesn't sound like a good idea. So let's see what this thing does. Now, I have thought ahead, and I do have my throttle cut set up. So this thing shouldn't go careening off the table. Oh man, okay, get a good grip here. Here we go. Holy crap. I honestly felt like I was going to lose hold of the plane here. Let's give that one more whirl. Wow. That is amazing. So unlike so many of the other planes that we've done before, where you get the really high RPM motor and they have that power band that just kind of keeps going as it gets louder and higher pitch. This is really different. The power band difference, you know, going from 50% to 100, definitely doubles the pull, but you don't hear it the way you normally would. So that was a little deceiving for me. My ears are going, no, you know, we're not going fast enough, and it was definitely a pull, definitely a tug. Beautiful plane. Holy cow. Where to even start with some of this? You know, the details blow me away. The little rivets are fine, but you know, the exhaust on the sides of the engine, absolutely great. The landing gears on this thing are ridiculous. Now, I will admit, the one thing that I had a struggle with, probably because I should have read the manual, is the wiring for the gears and their sequencer that they use. And so once I pulled out the manual, took a quick glance, I was able to figure out what I needed to do there. But the way that it does the asynchronous opening and closing of doors is just so cool. Very, very neat. The lighting on the plane's great. You know, talking about landing gears, we can see right up front we've got our flashing landing lights. How cool is that, right? Wingtip lights. You know, I don't know that this needs much more than that. You know, when it gets down to the dim lighting conditions, I have a harder time with some of these gray planes, and so the lighting I actually rely on. Love to see that in here. You know, let's go through the control surfaces. You know, the ailerons are just fantastic. You know, that built-in mechanical hinge where it's inset inside the wing that it pivots on, that is such a great detail. Man, just keeps that airflow nice and straight and clean. There's no weird breaks. There's no weird hinging right there. The flaps on this thing too are just awesome. Look at how low those go. Oh, just a beautiful, beautiful set of flaps there. Our rear control surfaces are pretty fantastic too. You know, we'll start off with our rudder here. And, you know, the whole plane shimmies and shakes because, well, we've got a control rod set up to that rear tail wheel. And man, that's just awesome. I really think this is going to be pretty maneuverable on the ground even. And I've had some problems with other planes being able to even just turn around on the runway. This doesn't worry me at all. And of course our elevators. And again, they've got that kind of countersunk hinge in there, and the foam wraps around where it moves. So nice, such a good detail. Just love it. Yeah, so, you know, I guess really now, this thing needs a paint job. That's going to be the real deal. So, kind of continuing my story, and it'll, explain a portion of this. So, I ended up helping Sheridan build his Mustang. There's not many of those in the world anymore, let alone flying. So it was a rarity. And he ended up taking and starting to build that plane after he lost his wife. And it kept him busy. The guy was just a genius. He knew I was a troubled kid. He knew I needed some guidance. And he knew the best way to do that was to keep idle hands busy. And so he involved me on so many different projects over the years. Well, so Sheridan passed away, and I ended up taking and looking this plane up because I needed to know what happened to it. There was literally blood, sweat, and tears of my own in this plane. And turns out after he passed away, it ended up getting sold off to some guy up in the UK. And unfortunately, it was crashed. Well, damn near broke my heart when I found out. Because for me, knowing that there was a piece of him still up there in the sky flying around, that meant something. And, being able to take this plane and paint it up with his scheme, make it an exact copy of what he had so lovingly created and enjoyed, I'm pretty excited for that. So there we go, the old Crow from Motion RC. It's a beautiful Freewing plane, and by all means, I think we've picked the right platform here. Again, if you guys have any experience painting these planes, let me know. Things that I can see I need to do is taking these decals off and getting a paint coat on here that's not going to damage the foam. Retaining the detail and matching what he had created. We've obviously thrown some pictures of what he's done up already, but hey, it would be neat to see this thing in the air. That'll make for one hell of a scary maiden, but we'll give it a whirl. Yeah, well, that's our project here, phase 1. Phase 2 will be coming soon. Until then, keep flying.